So first and foremost, congratulations on making it this far in the tutorial series. So right now we're at the point where we have a very nice functional box, but we're going to take that a step further. So what use is a box without something in it? So we're going to want to put like an Arduino inside our box. So this means that we can say, for example, design a waterproof circuit. We're not going to actually design it, but we're going to put the Arduino in and make the box fit the Arduino. So what we need to do, if you come over to our bodies section here, you may need to expand it using the little arrow here. You'll notice we have 3 discrete bodies. On the surface, this isn't too bad, but there's a much better way of doing it. That's what's called a component. So what we can do is we can hide all the bodies except for one. So I want to make a component of this seal here. So I'm going to come up and, once I've hidden all these with the little eye icons, come up and click New Component. Select that one. See how I've ticked from bodies? That's very important. Make sure you've selected the right body and click OK. Now I'm going to come over, double click on this, and I'm going to rename this to Seal. I'm going to now turn on another one of these. So I'm going to make this into a separate component now. I'm going to go New Component. Again, make sure that the component is selected. And we have from bodies selected. Click OK. Come to our component. And this is the lid. Finally, we're going to do this with our last remaining body. New Component. From bodies, make sure we've selected the right body. And OK. I'm going to come and rename it. Now what we can also do, we can make a component to put our other components in. So because, for example, to simplify our design, we can put all of our components inside another component. This means that it's really easy to differentiate and use this box for other things in other designs. So what we're going to do, we're going to come up to a new component again, but we're not going to tick the box that says from bodies, and we're going to make sure it says parent 1 selected, and click box here, so make sure it selects that as the parent. And we're going to call it box. Click OK. Now we have an empty component. You can see that this is all grayed out because it hasn't been utilized. So what we're going to do, we're going to come and we're going to drag and drop these components inside these other components. And now we have one component. We can toggle visibility into multiple components so it's easy to work with. We're going to work on adding our Arduino. So we could spend the time and measure up an Arduino and model it ourselves, but thanks to the internet, we have a massive library of models that are free to download. So if you download the model in the description, save it to your downloads folder, then you need to upload it to Fusion360. The way we do that is we click the upload button, and then select files, and then you'll see my file is in my folder here. I just double click this and click upload. Now this may take more or less time depending on the speed of your internet connection and what else is happening, but in a few minutes it should be all uploaded. And I can close this window here. So now our file has actually finally finished uploading. What we need to come and do is we need to insert it into a design so we can start working with it. But before we do that, we need to hide the lid on this box so we can see into it. And the other important thing is to click on the box up here and click Activate Component. So that means that now we are working inside this design or this component, not inside our subcomponent we created. Now, we come over to our Arduino that we just uploaded, right click, insert into current design. This may take a moment. Now you'll notice it's inserted, but it's not facing the right way. So if we come and we click on the top on our view cube, so we're facing the top, we can see what we're doing. We're going to move it so it's roughly in the middle and facing so it's facing the right way. So I'm going to move that into the middle more. That looks pretty good. It doesn't have to be absolutely perfect because when you do your mounting for it later, that will take into account its position. You just need to bear that in mind. But you may have noticed we don't have a circuit board here. That is because our Arduino is phasing through the bottom of our box. Like so. So we need to move it up. The question is, how much do we move it up? So that is probably not enough, so we're going to move it up to 7mm. However, there is a way to check. So we push OK here, or Enter, and then we're going to do what's called a section analysis. So we go S, section, analysis, and we're going to click on this, and then we're going to drag it down. And you can see it's actually showing us where the bottom of things are. So if we keep going down, 66, 67, 68. It's perfect. Our stuff is just touching the bottom. We should have enough clearance. So we can click cancel on this, and we're in the right spot. What we need to do next is make the mounting for our Arduino. So we're going to come back to our component here, our box. We're going to come to the box part, and we're going to click activate. That now you can kind of see the outline of the Arduino, but it's not there. So we're going to come and create a new sketch on the bottom of the box. So how do we know where to put the mounting holes? Well, we can use the tool we used before, project. So you need to do project, and we click on the circles here. You might click on this thing as well. So now we're going to project the whole mounting pattern of this. We can click OK. Now we have that. So now what we need to do, we want to mount our Arduino down. So in this case, we're going to use some M3 bolts. They have a diameter of 3 millimeters. So you might think we want to make these holes 3 millimeters, but that's not right, because we want the bolts to self-tap into the plastic. That means that as we screw the bolts in, they will cut their own thread. So what we're going to do, we need to slightly undersize these holes. So we're going to make them 2.7 millimeters. So we're going to come click here. You can see this hole is already 3.175. So we're going to make this 2.7. This is for all of it. And now what we also want to do is create a standoff boss. So this means that we're going to, because we want to stand off our Arduino from the base of it, so the pins don't hit the bottom. And that's what we kind of did before when we were verifying that it's not actually touching. So to do that, we need to make a concentric circle with the hole we made that's bigger. In this case, let's make it 7 millimeters. But you may have noticed a problem. If we look closely here, our standoff is going to hit the bottom side of these pins. So what we can do is make this slightly smaller. So if we try about 5 millimeters, now we clear them. But we can still do it for the rest of the pins. In fact, I think we can actually make this 5.5. And now we nicely have just enough clearance for this pin, but we have still plenty of stuff for our bolt to bite into. Now I can click Finish Sketch. What we need to do next is our extrude. So we want to do another section analysis. So go S, section analysis, click the face, we're going to drag it down. Like that. Click OK. Now we are going to click Extrude. And first we want to extrude these holes that we've made through the bottom of our plastic so our screws have plenty of depth. Now we need to make sure, I think I just selected the wrong ones. So we need to make sure we're selecting the right holes. It should be the very inner ones because they're the smallest. If you select the wrong ones, you'll probably find that the bolt will not actually bite into the plastic and it will free spin. So we're going to also look at some different techniques of making bolts go into plastic parts like this later on. But for now, we're going to do this. So now we're going to use the good old trick of going to the bottom side and selecting that. So our holes go exactly 3 millimeters through the bottom. Press enter and complete the operation. Now, what we're going to do, we're going to come back to our sketch, which is under here. No, not. It is actually going to be, under here. Show our sketch. We're going to extrude these outer and these inner rings. So we should just have that same small hole in the middle. I selected the wrong part. Now, make sure, in this case, you select these little extra bits on the outside that have been cut off by the size of the board. You'll see them stick out, but that will still provide more meat for the screw to bite into and will prevent any future issues later. So what we need to do, we're now going to come and we are going to hide, we're going to come back, we're going to hide our box and disable our section analysis. The way we do that is under named views sometimes, or under construction. So under analysis, we see this eye icon, we tick it, and that turns it off. And we're going to extrude these all the way to this the bottom of this board here. Now we're going to come back and we're going to make it visible. If you look, we have made some little nice mounting bosses. We can click OK, join, and now we can come back and we can activate our main view. And you can see we have now mounted our Arduino. For our Arduino to be really useful is to provide an exit hole for the cables. So to do this, we're going to do something clever. So it's what's called like a punch hole. So this means that you can punch out the different rings of the hole depending on what you actually need. So we're going to create a new sketch along this side here, and we want to come and create it in the very middle. So to do that, we can do 2 lines along here, and you'll see now we have the exact middle. We want to make a 30mm hole, and what we want to do inside this is we want to make another circle slightly larger, in this case like 32mm, so we have an extra millimeter on each side. And what we're going to do is we are going to come and we're going to add in a rectangle, or a center point rectangle, along here. What we're going to do is we are going to now finish our sketch, and we're going to extrude this ring here almost all the way through the wall. So if we click here, we know it's 3mm. So what we want to do, we want to make this 2.9. This means we have a super thin thing for our hole, which means if we don't want to use our hole, we just don't punch it out, and it's completely watertight. But if we want to run cables through it, we can pop it out with a screwdriver just by snapping the plastic, and then we can simply run our conduit through it, our pipe for our cables. Now this is done, we can zoom out, look at what we've done, turn back on our lid so we can see it, and save our design. Finally, just to clean up, you might want to come to some of these sketches. We have this sketch here that's turned on, turn it off, that makes it look neater, and save.